I have three interesting personnel groups that I've noticed the Ravens used. One of them they used more often than others. They used multiple versions of 12 personnel, a couple of versions of 22 personnel. It all depended on whether Likely was in the game or Oliver as that second tight end along with Mark Andrews. The first play that I'm going to show you is actually 0-2 personnel, which is rarely used. It's very difficult to say even. 0-2 means zero running backs on the field, two tight ends. The second one I show you will be 12 personnel, but the one running back is Ricard. So we're clearly giving away our intentions by Ricard being the only running back on the field. We're telling you it's a pass play, but we're doing the same thing with 0-2 personnel, in my opinion. It's kind of funny though because someone actually mentioned in a comment 2 or 3 weeks ago before the season started about 0-2 personnel. I can't recall who it was, so if it was you, please point that out in a comment, below. And then the third one I'll show you will be 22 personnel, I think, on a third down. And it'll be empty out of 22 personnel. And what I'll be talking about is just the difference in the receiving talent that you can put on the field with this first example, which again is 0-2, versus the third example, which will be 22 personnel. Not saying that 22 personnel doesn't have its uses. Third and 8 seems like, I think it's a third and 8 that I'll show you, seems like a peculiar place to be in 22 personnel, but I understand what we were doing. We were using Ricard to stay in block, and then Likely and Andrews were the two tight ends, and they're going to go out and route. So let's start looking at the film now. 0-2 personnel is this first one, which is the picture that's shown. So just to prove it to you, you've got Prochet down here, Andrews, Duvernay, Demarcus Robinson, and I think Likely up there. So zero running backs, two tight ends. And this is a designed out screen or pick, if you ask me, that's downfield. And the Ravens ran something somewhat similar last year in the Broncos game. So watch Andrews' release and Prochet's release. They're stalk blocking, but they're not blocking until Duvernay catches the ball underneath of Andrews. It's a little, I don't want to say dangerous play. It's interesting from the standpoint of, where we're catching the ball. But I think that kind of depends on, where we're catching the ball in relation to Andrews. But I think that also depends on how this nickel safety reacts to Andrews' route. This is a 2nd and 8 on our first possession. You would expect the nickel safety to react to Andrews' route. I think the Jets were a little caught off guard by this 0-2 personnel. They've got their nickel group in here, the nickel being Michael Carter II. It's a cool play using Duvernay. We used Duvernay on a somewhat similar play last year against the Broncos. You may remember on a 3rd and 23 or something. Duvernay runs like a little stop. Le'Veon Bell was out here to the wide left, and as the play starts, he does nothing. He stands there. And then after Duvernay catches the ball, he takes off like a bat out of hell, and he basically executes a wall block. Remember, it's a 3rd and 23, so they're playing soft coverage. Duvernay catches the ball, runs underneath of that late developing block by Le'Veon Bell, almost gets the first down, and gets like a 19-yard gain, 18-yard gain, somewhere around there. My numbers might be messed up, and we end up getting a field goal out of a situation where we probably shouldn't have. Beautifully designed play. This one reminds me of that. 2nd and 8, we're trying to get yards. Duvernay catching it, again, quite close to Andrews where the block is occurring, but you can see Andrews and Prochet are not running routes. This is designed to get the ball to Duve on a screen that's downfield. You can see the line of scrimmage is here. Actually, it's 2nd and 10, not 2nd and 8. You might be able to see the ref at the bottom of the screen, the sideline ref. So 0-2 personnel was a kind of a trigger for, a gadget play. A little screen, a downfield screen, which is cool. All right, we're going to move past this one, actually. I have my plays set up in the wrong order. So this is now our 12 personnel, but a weird version of 12. Here's our two tight ends, Likely and Andrews. That's not the part that's weird. We've got Ricard down here. He's the only running back on the field. That is Bateman, to my knowledge. I think that is Duve up there, but I could be wrong. I don't believe that's a running back up there. If it is, let me know. I know that the outside receivers are running outside release goes, and Duve looks like he's got his man beat up there. This is the one that hits off Likely's hand that I think was probably, Lamar was probably targeting Andrews. So something happened with Likely's route here. I think, now Likely's open. I mean, he's beat Michael Carter II badly. And he will on the next play I show you as well. So, yes, was there some issues with Likely? Like, maybe is he in the wrong place? It's entirely possible because Lamar corrected him on it. If Likely catches this ball, he gets a first down. But let's focus on the good. He's wide open. He's wide open on it. One thing I think will be an issue eventually, and I said this last year after 2 or 3 weeks, after 2 weeks actually, is we can't be too predictable with some of the things we do. Clearly with Ricard here, it gives us the ability to add a 6th blocker in the protection scheme. I think this is 3rd down, and the Jets are bringing a ton of pressure. Maybe this is one of the things the Ravens are going to do if they get that sticks blitz 0 look from the Dolphins this week, is put Ricard in as the only running back on 3rd down and think that they can block it up with 6, give Lamar a little bit of time to find someone. Clearly, Likely looks like a guy who can get open, and you'll see this very similar route on the next play. But let's talk for a second about Duve and Bateman. I don't know if you can see. You probably can't see Bateman. I got a frame there that's cutting it off. He's down here at the bottom. Not a ton of separation so far. Duvernay is gaining a little bit of ground up here on that DB up top. Not sure who that is. It's not Ahmad Gardner, because Ahmad Gardner is guarding Andrews. Actually looks like that's Hall. And Hall's staying with him a little bit better than I thought. There's definitely a hand fight going on. And by the way, the first touchdown pass that Duvernay made, like if he doesn't catch that ball, that should be interference. Like Hall is literally almost grabbing him at the goal line. But in any case, 12 personnel with Ricard as the running back, which is not offering a real pass threat with the running back, clearly. But how much of a pass threat do we really get with Davis or Hill on the field? I think Kenyon Drake is probably a different thing. He's a legitimate pass threat. I actually like him in the pass game. Looked really good on that one screen that we ran. So last look at that one, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, something like that. Maybe Likely ran the wrong route. In any case, he's wide open, so let's appreciate that. All right, another 3rd down. I'm not sure if you guys probably can't see it at the bottom side of the screen because that frame is in the way. So we've got Ricard on the field now. And we got 2 tight ends. There's Andrews and there's Likely. And then we got a running back, which I believe is Justice Hill. So 22 personnel on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10. Kind of rare. We're looking for Andrews on the right, apparently. Lamar's helmet was actually looking down to the bottom side first. Didn't like what he saw. This is his ridiculous scramble that, I don't even know how you explain it. When you look at the end zone angle, it's like you get to this point here, and it just doesn't look like it's possible that there's enough space on that side of the field for him to get to the yard to gain. Again, from the end zone angle, it looked so far away, and it was amazing that he was able to get there. But let's talk about Likely for a second. Likely's matched up against Michael Carter II. Again, same little kind of push-off out route, and Likely's wide open. I think Lamar initially looks down here. You can see his helmet now. I'm not really showing you the end zone angle, trying to have this be quick. He's looking down here now, and he comes off of this for some reason. The route hasn't even developed at this point. Guess he doesn't like the matchup. Me personally, if it's Ahmad Gardner versus Andrews or Likely versus Michael Carter II, I might be looking at Likely, to be honest with you. Ahmad Gardner's elite. He's the real deal. And some of us said that leading into the game. If you don't believe it, look at what he's doing to Andrews here. He's molesting him, and maybe if he wasn't Ahmad Gardner, they would be calling it, pass interference. There's a lot of hand contact. Say what you want. He did stop him. Every time that, Andrews was targeted in those situations or was looked at as an option, Ahmad Gardner took it away. Likely gets a lot of separation here, though. Again, just bullies Michael Carter. Throws him out of the way. If Lamar had started off reading Andrews first and then came back here second, we're looking at another great opportunity for Likely to get his first regular season catch. As it stands, we have a quarterback who's special and who can make these unbelievable plays in these situations, get us a first down when maybe we didn't deserve one, because we went through the progression. Lamar didn't do it in the wrong order, but in the order of who was open, we would have liked for Likely to be looked at later and be a real option for Lamar to target. Let me know what you think of these personnel groups. I think we'll see them again. I do. How often? 0-2 personnel is interesting to me. I will speak on that for a moment. Demarcus Robinson, Bateman, Duvernay, Likely, and Andrews. That's pretty interesting to me. Who's going to have 5 cover guys that can match up with us there? Yeah, you're gonna possibly see heavy blitz stuff because we don't have a 6th blocker. I understand that. I think right side of the offensive line, and the center is pretty good at pass pro. Our weakness right now is on the left side, depending on Ronnie Stanley's, availability in whatever situation and his progress. But that's an interesting group for me. Not to use 10, 12 times a game, but 0-2 personnel to drop on somebody randomly in a possession when they haven't seen it. One thing that I will say about our personnel groups, you didn't come here for this, but I think we switch groups too often. I understand what we're doing. We were using two different groups of 12 personnel, two different versions of 12 personnel, one with Likely and one with Oliver. Two different versions of 22 personnel, one with Likely, one with Oliver. We were trying to see what the Jets' reaction would be in terms of personnel, their personnel, and what coverages they would play. I get it. We have two examples on this film of Likely getting himself open, one of which he, maybe wasn't supposed to be there. He was underneath of the ball intended for Andrews, I believe, who probably would have made the catch against Gardner. But I think it's a dangerous group, and I'd like to see it a little more often. I'd like to see it 4 or 5 times a game, enough such that teams had to prepare for it. Here's why. When you do something like that 4 or 5 times a game, a defensive coordinator has to prepare for it. If you do something once every 3 or 4 weeks, you can mention it in a meeting, but maybe just do a walkthrough on the field, and that's it. If you do 0-2 personnel 3, 4, 5 times a game, they have to spend walkthrough time on it, meeting time on it, and practice probably a dozen plays against it, is my estimation, during the course of the week. Not in team necessarily, because you don't do plays in team that's going to be 100% pass. That's the way it works. You've got inside run period, which is all run plays, maybe play action. You've got pass skelly, which is all pass plays. And then you got team, or 11 on 11, which a lot of y'all call it. What would happen is in our 0-2 personnel, a defensive team, a defensive coordinator planning for that, he would only practice those 0-2 personnel plays during pass skelly because it's 100% pass. Maybe, do a couple of them in team, but there's no reason to have the O-line, D-line over there for your coverage element, because that's the part that's going to determine whether the play succeeds or not. Your pass rush would be, that's done during your defensive line individual time and your group time. So you're not going to have to, you don't want your DBs over there when your D-line is pass rushing against practice squad offensive linemen for no particular reason whatsoever. There's only so much time during the course of the week. My point is the 0-2 personnel would add a little bit of prep time for the defensive coordinators, in my opinion. Give us another dangerous group, especially if we can run some of these little gadget screenplays like we showed. And I'm interested to see if we use 0-2 personnel against Miami. That would obviously depend on our ability to protect, which is related to, whether Ronnie Stanley plays or not. I think it still might be a little too early for him. Forgive the monologue at the end. I know you guys come to this channel for film study. Gave you some of that. But the personnel groupings, I'm excited by a couple of things. The 12 personnel with Ricard at running back, I'm not sure yet. The jury's out for me. Again, it's 100% pass. He offers no real run threat. Now, could we run with Lamar with Ricard back there? Yes, we could. That would be interesting. You have 4 legit receiving threats on the field, Ricard and Lamar. I don't know how much use we get out of that for real. My mind says not nearly as much as the 0-2 personnel, but both of them could be gadget personnel groups for real. Forgive me for going in an extended period of time there at the end, but I thought the personnel was something that I wanted to comment on. I didn't really get a chance to do that, or didn't take advantage of the time earlier in the week. Hopefully you guys appreciate it. Let me know what you think of my thoughts, what you think of the film I showed, the 0-2 group, where Duvernay catches the little gadget screen. Damn near illegal screen. The 12 personnel group with Ricard at running back, and then the typical empty, out of 22 personnel. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you really enjoyed this one, consider sharing it on social media if you think other Ravens fans, would enjoy this content.